I mean, I don't know. You guys think these are still going to be good? What about these? I mean, I don't know, guys, do you think these are still going to be good? I mean, huh? Oh yeah, that's right. They're still good! What is up, YouTube people? Eric here with Team Badman. It is Friday, so you guys know what that means. It is spoiler day. If you guys remember, last week we did a Quicklooks video over the newly revealed Gohan stack and Insane Dynamic Mastery. Gohan is all about that styled. All of his attacks are considered styled completely across the board. And that works out really, really well in just a wide variety of styles. Makes it really easy to utilize mastery effects in just a whole lot of decks. Ways to gain extra anger just by utilizing those. And you can get off some really, really cool combos utilizing it as well, especially, you know, with some of his named cards being super, super useful and gaining some extra anger in there as well. So I already know there are a lot of ideas out there. They're very MPPV Gohan related, and, you know, they've certainly got their justification for him. And we also saw the Saiyan Dynamic Mastery, which put a completely new twist on approaches for Saiyan decks with the ability to start on level 2 at whim. So it opened up a lot of areas for both some older MPs such as Nappa and Raditz, especially with some of the Saiyan cards that we saw earlier this week, and even some of the much stronger Saiyan MPs such as Cell and Brawly, who really like getting that extra leg up and getting off their level 1s. So there's just a ton of potential there, and I'm really, really excited for them. But enough about that. That was all last week. We are here with the new Red Mastery and the brand new Trunk stack along with it. I know Red has been kind of a questioning point for a lot of players, considering that Enraged, which is probably the primary MPPV mastery in the game right now, is going away at the advent of Awakening. So the questions floating around were, is the Red Mastery going to be really useful for MPPV? And is it really going to replace the Enraged Mastery? Well, we are about to find out. Along with that, we are going to take a look at the brand new Trunk stack, which has some really fun applications in here as well, with a lot of anger decks, and with a lot of disruption, some sword card stuff in there as completely expected, as well as a brand new name card in Trunks' Knee Bash, which has some fantastic tech to it, a really, really cool parenthetical, and should fit into just about any Trunks deck out there. I'm most definitely excited about it, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. And of course, we're going to start off with the Red Ascension Mastery. Yeah, we are going to get right to it here and see what kind of replacement that we might have for Enraged. The cool thing about the Red Ascension Mastery is that it still utilizes a lot of the tech that Red has available, utilizes a lot of the effects that Enraged got to utilize with critical damage effects and some anger in there, but it does it in a different enough way that actually fits really, really well into the metagame right now. So there's both a continuous power on the Mastery and a regular power as well. The continuous power says whenever you utilize a critical damage effect, gain 2 stages, which, as I've mentioned in a lot of prior videos, and I'll probably continue to mention, stages are a really, really big deal right now. They're an all-time premium. There's, you know, just a bunch of cards that are going to let you utilize it. And that's especially true when you consider one of Red's most popular staples in Red Shoulder Grab. Yeah, you see these? Yeah, still good! Along with that, the continuous power has effect says at the end of combat you may raise your anger 1 level. As we know, passive anger is a really, really nice thing to have. It's just, you know, it's almost kind of a game breaker if we mention, of course, the ever famous Black Command. If we consider a card like Namekian Knee Block, which whenever you rejuvenate you gain anger. The ability to boost your anger up, even just a little bit at the end of every combat, both gives you a reason to enter combat as much as you possibly can. And it also gives you that extra little edge on MPPV, which is going to help out just a whole lot. I'm sure all of us have encountered combats where we've ended on, you know, maybe 4 anger, and then our opponents entered and knocked us down with, you know, something like Shoulder Slam, or hit us with a Wall Breaker, or maybe, of course, the Dread Blue Head Knock. But at the same time, it's also a mastery that, you know, kind of cultivates staying on some of those lower levels if you want to do more of a tempo-oriented build, which is something that, again, this Trunk stack would like to do a little bit. You can get some fun interaction with it. And while Ruthless might be better for just camping out on certain levels and being very, very aggressive, If you want to go for kind of a hybrid beats MPPV approach, this mastery gives you the ability to do that. Gives you a little bit of flex room, and I actually like that. I like how they implemented, both the passive anger and the utilization of critical damage effects still, because that's a big component of red style, and it's something I'm glad to see that they didn't forget. Along with that, there's a power on Mastery that says, banish the top card of your life deck to go ahead and raise your anger 1 level. So you actually get a little bit of deck interaction there. Sure, banishing is a really big risk, but naturally there are going to be cards that are going to interact with that. If you banish this, you use critical damage effect. If you banish this, raise your anger 1 level, raise your anger 2 levels, whatever it might be. Plus, it gives some triggers for some other cards to say, if you banished a card from your life deck, which of course are sure to also be a thing here. But the cool component is if you banish a styled card, your opponent skips their next action in this combat. So you can gain a little bit of extra anger, and you can be a little bit disruptive in there as well. That makes the most sense in MPPV oriented kind of deck, because you want to minimize how much your anger is being lowered, and the ability to do that in this deck is just absolutely fantastic. You don't want opponents drawing into easy answers or teching them out. You want to hold them off from doing so until you can get to that next level, or until you can get the cards that you need. This is a mastery that lets you do it, so I don't think it's a full-on replacement for Enraged. I don't think it's going to cater completely to the MPPV circuit. But it's still got some really fun tools to it, and I think it's a great new addition to the masteries. You get a little bit more of the anger approach, and you get a shift away from the very aggressive approach the Ruthless had. Both of them are different in their own ways, and I can see both of them getting a considerable amount of use each way. Packaged along with the Red Ascension Mastery is the new Trunks stack, which is a little bit surprising given how many MP levels Trunks has already had over the duration of the DBZ CCG. But this stack is it's very anger oriented in a lot of ways, and it's also got some self-disruption, which is a first for a lot of stacks that we've seen. And it's a really interesting approach to it. I can see some nice ways to mix and match, but let's just go ahead and take a look at it. So Trunks' brand new level 1 has just a very simple constant effect that says whenever you raise your anger, double that amount. That's really good for just a very simple continuous effect, because it turns cards that just had a plain J amount of anger into a very fast way to get off of level 1. You throw the shoulder grab or double strike or saying left kick or just any 1 anger card, it instantly bumps it up to 2 anger. 2 anger cards become 4 anger. And if you play it in Rampaging Mastery, all you have to do is throw a 2 anger card just immediately, and you're right on level 2. So it's just really fast for MPPV, but the trade-off is you don't get an action with that, you don't get any extra buff, and it's really kind of challenging to see a lot of places where it might be used over, say, the Vengeance level 1 or the Evolution level 1. If you're very focused on being an MPPV deck, or if you've got ways of a lot of passive or direct anger, say in Orange Retribution or maybe Black Perceptive, I don't know, say in Rampaging as well. There are a lot of reasons why you might want to run this level, especially if you just want to get up there really fast. It could actually be some really useful stuff in the new Saiyan Dynamic Mastery, to where you just you want to level really quickly, and you've got that self-imposed 6 anger limit on you for leveling up. So if you do decide to go with an MPPV route, you can start on level 2, and if you get dropped down to level 1 by some crazy circumstance, you can level back up really quickly. So there's some cool application here. It segues into Trunks' new level 2, of course it's new naturally, with a continuous power that says whenever you play a named card, you may use a critical damage effect, which ties directly into the mastery, which allows you to gain 2 stages. So it all works out really well. Trunks has a great suite of named cards, so you've got really easy ways to use a critical damage effect, being really kind of disruptive with it. And there are a ton of other cards out there that are considered named for your card effects, such as Overwhelming Power or say in Flight. There are plenty of options there to help you just continually throw streams of critical damage effects, and we know just how good this can be. Along with that, Trunks has one of the few defensive powers in the game, and it's an absolutely fantastic one. His powers immediately stop a physical attack. It doesn't prevent damage like Roshi does, but this time it's an actual straight-up block, which is, I think, a first for the game and a really big deal. But along with that, you may rejuvenate a card with Sword in the title from your Banish Zone to raise your Anger 1 level. like I've mentioned many times before, it bothers me that you can interact with the banish zone so easily, but it's a really big asset for sword decks out there because there's so few cards that you can run that don't just remove themselves. Trunks of Sword Slash, Dashing Sword Attack, cards like Orange Sword Chop if you were to run that. You know, there are a lot of options out there that being able to reutilize them a bunch of times can make for some really, really powerful tech, especially when you get cards like Aggressive Sword Drill out, and you know, Red Sword Slicing Drill if you're playing in red, or Orange Hoping Drill. There are a lot of really easy ways to combo hard with this. And of course, a physical attack block is valued all the way across the board, especially with the popularity of physical decks out there. That's going to be appreciated in just about any deck, but this is a level that specifically caters to the sword archetype, so thinking on it, this might actually be the best option. While you may not have anything to rejuvenate early on, you can, you know, combo it together really well, get yourself a bunch of anger cards out, and you're still gaining anger with this one, getting extra cards back into the deck. So all in all, a pretty solid level. Ultimately, depending on what your goal is with it, with the Trunks deck, I don't know, it can be a toss-up between any of the levels. You've got plenty of options there, which is a great thing about Trunks as a whole. Following that is a place where Trunks has had a very, very strong suit over time, his level 3. Trunks' level 3s have always been pretty fantastic, but this one has some really, really interesting interaction with yourself and with your own actions, which is something we haven't seen in stacks before. So there's continuous power in Trunks level 3 that says your attacks deal plus 2 stages of damage, same as Gohan's level 3. Every little bit of damage buffing is nice. But whenever your anger is lowered by any amount, it's only lowered by 1 instead, so that has a lot of application just across the board against really popular cards that lower anger, like Devastating Blow, Villainous Energy Beam, Shoulder Slam. There are a lot of options out there that lower anger more than 1, so limiting that to just 1 makes this a great candidate for an MPPV related deck. It's going to be super, super useful in that regard. Along with that, Trunks has a physical attack that goes for 6 stages, of course modified by Trunks' own power, so it's going to be a physical for 8. But the interesting part here is you skip your own next action this combat. As opposed to forcing your opponent to skip, you do it yourself. But I'm sure there are going to be cards down the line that say, you know, if you skipped your previous action this combat, do this, wherever it might be. It works out really well as kind of a combat closer, to where you know you're not really going to be disrupted if you decide to throw the attack. I'm not sure how I feel about, but we're just going to have to see in practice. And something you would have to plan out really, really well. But the big component here, I think, is the fact that your anger can only be lowered by 1 every time. So MPPV-oriented decks, like I said, are going to absolutely love this. I can see Trunks fitting fairly well into Orange Retribution for that value. Saying Rampaging would work out really, really well, especially if you can get up there really, really quickly. It's interesting to me looking at this level that we've now got such different variety of Trunks levels just across the board. We've got a stack that's control oriented, a stack that's ag oriented, and now there's one that's MPPV oriented as well. And I think the urge to mix and match them across this stack and across the board as a whole isn't really a bad idea for his level 3. I feel like if you're going for the whole anger, the MPPV kind of thing, it may actually be smarter to go with his premier level 3. Get that, you know, hand set up and utilize it with, you know, chaining together some combos. But ultimately, it's a toss-up on this level. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but I think it's gonna take a little bit of work to get working just right. And to close out Trunks' stack, we take a look at the not so big, powerful, Ultra Super Saiyan Trunks. And one thing I'm going to point out is I'm not a huge fan of the art on this one. I feel like they were going to go for, you know, the whole big, mega jacked Super Saiyan kind of thing. They really could have picked better art for it. Sorry guys, it's honestly just how I feel. But on the positive side, I feel like this could be the level 4 to go to for a lot of those sword-oriented decks, especially ones that like coming out with Aggressive Sword Drill and cards like Red Cover Drill, or anything that makes damage unpreventable. So Trunks has a continuous power on his level 4 that says your attacks with sword in the title cannot be stopped and gain raise your anger 1 level. So once again, we're pushing really hard towards the MPPV. It also caters directly to the sword archetype, which is something that again you're going to see in Trunks' Knee Bash. That's a really big deal because of just how powerful his suite of sword cards are. Trunks' Sword Slash is super strong, especially on a level where he can reach F very consistently. Get access to Dashing Sword Attack. Cards like Orange Sword Chop or Red Sword Stab can still deal a very considerable amount of damage. And of course they gain the additional anger as well, so you can just slowly poke your way up to MPPV. But he also has a power that allows you to raise your anger 2 levels at the expense of skipping your next 2 actions this combat. So we're back to the disruption game. The self-disruption, that is, and it's a really dangerous power to use. You'd have to time it and sequence everything just right. If you can combo it together with a card like Black Chaos or something like that. Something that's going to prevent your opponent from disrupting you as much as they really should. It can work out pretty well. The raising your anger 2 is a really big deal on level 4 because of just how quickly it can push you to MPPV. Especially in a style like Red, where you've got just a bunch of anger you can gain very quickly. This can combo together well with just a lot of masteries to gain anger fast. Again, we go back to Rampaging, or we go to Orange Retribution. There's a lot of application with this one, but I think its strength is really going to be focusing around those sword cards. I think it's going to be a very tough sell over the Evolution level 4 with that awesome +5 stage modifier. But this one at least gives you some extra options to work with. So, it's again a toss-up. I think this one is a little bit easier to decide on than some of the prior level choices, and it's not too bad of a way to round out a stack that I think could be really fun in a draft format. So if you guys pull it, let's find out just how it goes. Along with that, Trunks gets his 4th named card, which puts him up there in the same league as Vegeta. Well, gee, ain't that a coincidence? Trunks' Knee Bash is yet another fantastic addition to Trunks' just great suite of name cards, especially for that little parenthetical at the top that says, this card is considered to have sword in the title for your card effects. So gee, I wonder what they were trying to plan with this one. Oh, that's right, sword things. So, it's another option that you can pull out with Aggressive Sword Drill, or you can pull back with Dashing Sword Attack, and that's especially useful because as opposed to Trunks' Slam, this doesn't banish itself after use. So you will always have a tech option that you can get out with Dashing Sword Attack, which is going to be just absolute gravy. Along with that, it's a physical attack that allows you to banish a setup, drill, or attached card. So we're finally getting some direct attached hate. And along with that, it's some just great board hate, which means that you can run this alongside Orange Stare Down or Blue Betrayal, or just a lot of things that can deal a lot of board hate. And that's a really nice thing to have for Trunks because it's extra disruption that he's got, along with forcing opponents to pass and banishing cards out of the discard pile and being able to level really quickly. So he's just got a rock solid suite of named cards now, and one that fits him really well. AT +3 stages again for the damage on this, which is the same as Trunks' Slam. Works out really well, and if it hits, you raise your anger 1 level as well. So there's just a lot to this card. I can see it being a really popular choice for Trunks, and one that's fairly in demand. Plus the artwork is pretty cool. Sure, the centering is a little bit weird on it, I will nitpick that, but just seeing straight up knee wreckage like Trunks is delivering right there, I think it's just awesome overall. Great name card, and it's probably the best part about just this entire spoiler. I think it's amazing. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like down below. I'd love to see you guys' thumbs. If not, click the dislike button down below and let me know what you guys didn't like so that way I can fix it for next week. I'm always looking to make these better. You guys have been super receptive to all these, so you guys are fantastic. Thank you guys so much. And I'm going to continue doing my best to just keep these rolling for you guys to the best that I possibly can. Also, if you guys haven't hit the subscribe button down below, please be sure to do so you can follow these and all of our other series. We're going to have a ton of stuff coming out after Awakening drops, a ton of different appearances with new videos, maybe some regional commentary. We've got some great stuff coming up later on the non-card oriented front over the next few months, so be sure to keep an eye out for all of those. And lastly, if you guys haven't found us on social media, all of our links are down below, so you guys can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Libsyn, which is podcast hosting. I've already talked about a bunch, so I'm not going to bore you guys with it. So that is going to do it. I'm Eric with Team Badman signing out. So thank you guys so much for watching, and like always, stay bad. We will see you guys next Friday for the reveal of the new Cell Stack and the Namekian Radiant Mastery, the last one we're looking forward to. Hope to see you guys then. Catch you later.